Now the next guest for our Central Kentucky TV show, focus on Washington County. Today, our next guest is Susan Harden with the American Red Cross. Thank you, Susan, for being here.
Good afternoon, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always excited to talk about a program that's very close to my heart.
Yes, and for me too, since I serve on the board.
Well, the Red Cross is all about volunteers, and thank you. You are giving leadership to the American Red Cross, and that's very important.
Yes, it's very important. So I wanted to maybe start off today talking about, maybe you can give us a little background just about the American Red Cross, Susan. And, you know, we've been a Tri-County, Marion, Nelson, Washington, that we have, our board has been. And we're going to continue with that, even though there are some there's some changes going on with the Red Cross.
That's right, Lisa. The American Red Cross's mission is very basic. It's relieve human suffering. The American Red Cross mission covers 5 areas, and we do depend on volunteers and donations to accomplish this mission. And those 5 missions cover, most people know and are aware of blood. The American Red Cross provides 40% of the United States' need for blood products. And we thank Washington County and all the individuals that support blood donation opportunities, both on the volunteer side and donating. CPR and first aid. We save lives and reduce suffering with CPR, first aid, and we have a new OSHA program. Anybody out there that works in a factory or industry or needs OSHA training, we have an online OSHA certification, both the 10 and 30-hour projects. So if anybody's interested in that, it's brand new. It's awesome, fantastic. Disaster education. Right now in our school systems, we're working on a pillowcase project, teaching children to take home escape from home fires. What do you need to do to be prepared to get out of your home? You and I think as adults we could do it, but without practicing, without having a written plan that once a year you review, just like the tornado drill in school, the children, your family needs to have a disaster escape plan. That's called the Pillowcase Project. And then disaster education. Disaster relief. Home fires is the #1 natural disaster in Kentucky, although we are prone to other flood, fire, winter storm, earthquake, tornado. Kentucky is very prone to natural disaster. And then military communication. Military families that have emergencies, the American Red Cross is still the only recognized communication link. So you call an 800 number, talk to a person that's trained in doing casework, share with them the family disaster. They immediately verify the facts, call the commanding officer, and have that soldier come home for that family emergency. So those are the 5 areas of mission for the Red Cross.
Right, right. And of course, the Red Cross, the majority of the money raised for the Red Cross goes to direct services, and you rely on volunteers to provide a lot of the services, because needless to say, you know, we can't afford to pay all our volunteers and then provide the services as the direct services as well. We're fortunate here in Washington County because we have a group of people that volunteer for the blood drives that have been doing that for many years, and so I feel really blessed. And you know, I know Marsha Lanham and Bill Sutton. I can't even begin to say who all is involved in that, but I just would like to say personally right now, I would like to thank them for all their hard work. And
absolutely, Lisa. You never know from day to day how the Red Cross is out there helping and who is lending the hand. The phone rings in the middle of the night and we don't have to get up and go help someone in an emergency situation. There's a trained volunteer. And by making a donation to the Red Cross, you can be there to help that person, whether it's personal care items, whether it's a warm hug, whether it's money to buy food and clothes for the next day, whether it's a motel room. By making a financial donation to the Red Cross, 91 cents of every dollar that you donate, you're correct, goes directly to service. You think there's a big overhead, and American Red Cross is a big organization, but 95% of the work that's done by the American Red Cross is done by volunteers. So we're very frugal, we're very conscious of that donated dollar and supportive, and thank our volunteers for all the work they do. But that's 91 cents of every dollar that is donated to the American Red Cross is given out back to the individuals in need through services.
Yes, and there's a lot of services that, as you mentioned, are provided. If you need money, if like we had in Washington County, because I had the fire chief here recently being interviewed, and we discussed, the fire at Valley Hill, an old historic building, and a family that lived there, and they were burned out. And so Red Cross came through. Matter of fact, 2 volunteers came from Nelson County to assist the family that night with
food, clothes, and shelter, immediate relief, up to 3 days of immediate relief after a disaster. And we do have a core group in Washington County that responds to fires. It just happened that no one was available, and that's why we cross-train and why we cross-communicate in our tri-county. We call the closest person. If they're not available, we call the next closest person. And so husband-wife team from Nelson County did come out. There were 5 children in that home and 2 adults. And they lost everything.
Yeah.
So clothes to go to school the next day, their memories, their mementos. It is definitely a devastating experience. It's a loss, and it will stay with them for the rest of their lives. But the Red Cross comes in with that warm hug, that emotional support, that what's next. So many times in a disaster, the panic, the shock, I don't know what to do, and just having a Red Cross volunteer that's been through it multiple times, know what questions to ask, just a cup of water to calm nerves and help you with what's next is a big relief.
Right. Well, and we're always in need of volunteers, and so I want to put a plug in about that, because the Red Cross doesn't, they will train these individuals to, now I don't know if there's a charge on getting, if you have to pay a fee for your training, but there's the disaster college that you can attend. That's usually, I think, in January in Louisville, and so you can get training, how to set up a shelter, how to work at a shelter in many capacities, and admit people into the shelter, etc. So there's all kinds. I was quite overwhelmed with all the trainings you can attend, and get training on CPR and first aid, and just whatever. And so we always need these volunteers.
You're absolutely right, Lisa. Volunteers have different strengths, and we all have different life skills. And in the Red Cross, there is a job, whether you're good at paperwork, whether you're good at numbers, whether you're compassionate and good at talking with folks, whether you're good at playing with children. When we open a shelter, after 2 days or 3 days, the children get restless. We need storytellers. We need theater groups, somebody to play the piano or sing with the children. And they're just all kinds of needs. And if you would like to volunteer for the Red Cross, it's very easy. A lot of our programs are online now. You can do training once a week or once a month. And we don't know when we're going to need you. So get your training, get registered, redcross.org. You can go right online if you have a computer, start the process, and work at your own pace. Very much like college these days. You can become a Red Cross volunteer almost totally online, and then when that next disaster strikes, if you're available, you can come and help your community.
So you can get your training online, your certification, you can register to be a volunteer, and it pretty much talks you through how to do that. And if someone in this area wanted to be a volunteer, what is it that they put in? Is it what area are we considered?
We're the Kentucky region. The state of Kentucky is an entire region, and then volunteers are selected based on zip code, based on territory. So blood services, health and safety, disaster, general volunteer. There are different categories, so you can choose what area you would like to volunteer in. And we have a volunteer in the Red Cross office in Bardstown on Fridays. If you have any questions or want to talk with someone, 9 to 2 on Fridays, you can call and talk to Vicki, or I'm sure Lisa, you could help out, or I'm always available and glad to help if you'd like to volunteer. It's not a 9 to 5 job. Sometimes it's middle of the night, sometimes it's middle of the day, sometimes it's winter, sometimes it's summer. So we just need folks that have skills to be registered, to get certified, so that when the time comes, our community can respond to our need. You mentioned money. Red Cross does not charge for training. So if there are collateral materials or lunch, sometimes there's a support fee, but we do not charge for Red Cross disaster training.
So what's the number that they can call at the office to, and I guess if no one's there, they can leave a message.
Absolutely. The Red Cross office that serves our heart of Kentucky is 502-348-1893, and maybe Gary can put that up on the screen for us, but the American Red Cross office is 502-348-1893, and of course everybody Facebooks and emails, so my email address anytime you'd like to get in touch with me is first and last name, susan.harden@redcross.org. And please feel free. I'm traveling a lot these days, but always available to get back with anyone with questions. And we have a tremendous Red Cross board and a lot of community support. I want to commend you, Lisa, for your leadership and our volunteer board. And
well, we have two other members on the board over here, Greg and Margaret Goatley, and we may need to add more board members. And then we've got board members from Nelson and Marion County, and we're very fortunate to have a great board. Now, Susan, they've put you pretty much in charge of fundraising right now, so we need to talk about that Heroes campaign that has just begun or is getting ready to start.
Absolutely, Lisa. We try to make fundraising easy, simple, and clean. And the Heroes campaign, this will be our third campaign. We're going to kick off at the end of February and wrap it up at the end of March. The Heroes campaign is a grassroots, community-based program. You can write us a check. You can do a fundraising in your club, your organization, your school. Your business can get together and get fellow lawyers get together and become a hero. And we ask heroes to raise at least $1,000 to be recognized in our Heroes Club. And we're very, very pleased that Maker's Mark has joined us again this year as a hero, and they're going to allow us to have our celebration over at Maker's Mark. So that'll be a wonderful evening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you know, our Washington, Marion, and Nelson have done a very good job on raising monies for the Heroes campaign, and each year we have more and more people that are participating, and because, you know, it just takes a while for people to get on board with it because education is the key. So, but we've been very fortunate. Our Business and Professional Women's Club in Springfield has been a hero. You know, we've got the support of our city and county governments, and in all our counties, we're very blessed on that. And so I know there have been many people in our county. You and I talked to the Washington County board the other night about the school system being a hero and attempting to collect $1,000. And and then I'll just have an individual who will just say, I'd like to give you $1,000. And they're a hero, and we very much, because most people know really what the Red Cross does. And I mean, golly, it's been around since, I don't know.
1903, I believe.
1903. And they've done a tremendous job in our cities, counties. And one more thing we need to mention is that in Kentucky, we have a lot of disasters. People would be surprised at that. Tell me about that, Susan.
Well, Kentucky is recognized as the state with the third most disasters. It's very hard to believe why that is, but our climate, our location in the United States, from the threat of earthquakes to tornadoes to ice storms, Kentucky just has a very high rate. And I actually looked the statistics up. In January, we had 206 individual incidents in Kentucky. 206
Wow.
Incidents of disaster. Here in our county, we had 4 single-family fire incidents, and that's 14 family members that were assisted by the American Red Cross just in our 3-county area in the month of January alone. So thank all those donors from last year, thank the volunteers, and please be generous. Your donation during our Heroes campaign will help a family in our community. The other thing besides Kentucky being prone to disasters is we don't collect enough money to cover our expenses. Typically, Kentucky spends $2 for every dollar that is collected. So the other big cities, the other communities that don't have as much disaster help pay our bill. So our goal is $55,000 this year, and even that won't cover all the expenses that we will incur this year in Kentucky. So please, if you don't have $1,000, write us a check for 20, whatever you're comfortable with, and we'll add it into the pot, and always appreciate every donation.
Right. Now, if they want to donate, Susan, how can they do that?
Well, Lisa, everybody knows you, so just write a check to the American Red Cross and give it to Lisa.
That is fine with me. You can contact me on my home phone, leave me a message, 859-336-3353. And I'll be happy to take your check.
I'm being silly. The Red Cross mailing address is 321 South 3rd. That is in Bardstown, 321 South 3rd. Or I'm sure Margaret at the bank or Greg Goatley at his law office would be happy to accept a donation. So if you're here in the community, you want to give back. If your family member had an illness and needed blood, if you had a military experience where a family member passed away or had a difficult birth and the Red Cross was able to help you, please pay forward. Pay it forward. You never know when your loved one, your neighbor will need the Red Cross, and we want to be prepared, and we want to take care of our own. So thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Susan, before?
Well, the Heroes campaign is wonderful leadership in the community, and it's an opportunity without that disaster striking for us to be prepared. So my main message is thank the community. Washington County is very generous. We have some wonderful volunteers and wonderful media support, and it takes the community to do a good job with the Red Cross. Yeah. So thank you.
We'll have to thank Gary White with Central Kentucky TV for always being supportive, and also well, I lost my train of thought there, Susan. I want to say that the kickoff will be in February, and I'm inviting all people who are interested in being a hero to attend that. And what's the date on that?
That is Thursday, February 26th, and it will be in Bardstown. Thursday, February 26th. So reach out to Lisa or myself. We'll get e-invites out and probably have something in the paper about it. But if you're interested in the Heroes campaign, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Yeah, yeah. So, well,
February 26th.
I know you're a busy woman, and I'm sorry that I kept you.
No trouble talking with Lisa. Thank you so much for doing this, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Susan.